2026 prospect crushes from all of the draft champions you've been undertaking, and I'm sure you won't hold anything back from our listeners with this question.
Well, I'll give you one guy, and when you ask me for a prospect, I don't go prospect, I go random guy.
That's a Phil prospect.
Yeah.
I'm sure whoever you're going to say isn't even on my top 400.
This guy's 28 years old. Brian Torres.
Cardinals, right?
So, yeah. See, it's amazing that you had to kind of question the team, just because he's so random.
Cardinals guy, right?
Yeah. So, there's a path to playing time there because the Cardinals are kind of listing on everyone. They want to give, I want to say young guys, but in this case, it's more guys that haven't played in the majors yet, an opportunity.
Phil, I've got 6 hitters who, at least when I made the outline, were blocked or semi-blocked, or there's perception maybe that they might be blocked. And I just want to see, of these 6 hitters, who you think is the best buy low right now, given the playing time uncertainty. And you're free to go off the board here. But Isaac Paredes with the Astros, recent auctions, $5. Matt Shaw of the Cubs, $5. Jason Dominguez of the Yankees, $5. Mark Vientos of the Mets, $2. Unsigned Marcelo Ozuna, $2. And Tristan Casas, $1. Which of these 6 do you think is the best buy low right now? Or I guess you could say none of the above if you want.
I thought it would have been Shaw, but he hasn't slipped as much as I thought he would. So I think he's probably slipped about 60 or 70 picks.
He's been kind of going. He's been going like 230s, 220s, right? Something like that.
Yeah. That's still too early. I really thought he'd slip more than that. So it's not him. The one that I've been drafting, especially in the slow OCs, is Mark Vientos, because he falls in that range in OCs where he's basically free, like past round 22, 23 in OCs. You're kind of just shooting for upside, even sometimes earlier than that. But he falls in the range where he's basically free and he's an injury or a trade away or a hot spring training from potentially playing every day and being that 30 home run guy that we thought he was when he was going, what was it, like in the 5th round last year, something like that. So I think he's interesting for that. All the other bats for OCs, I think they're all still kind of going too early for my liking. And Ozuna and Casas just aren't good enough, or at least the playing time is too uncertain with them. Casas might not be healthy to start the year. Ozuna, who knows if he's even going to sign. So Vientos kind of stood out this group, but I think for OCs, anyone in that range who's blocked and who's a trade away or an injury away from playing every day is a great pick. For main events, we'll know in March, but maybe Vientos is that guy where things open up for playing time and it just doesn't move that much. Sometimes the market doesn't react that quickly for later picks like that. But as far as what most people are drafting right now, DCs, I think they're all pretty hard to roster. Not too much interest in any of them right now.
Yeah, the Matt Shaw thing. I mean, the DC I'm in, I almost took him like in the 230 range. I stuck to my plan and took Caballero instead, which I don't have any regrets about. But
I really thought when they signed Bregman, I thought Shaw would fall to like the 300s. And at that point, I think he's interested because the skills are there, and the Cubs seem to be looking for a way to get him in the lineup.
I think they're good. I still think they're gonna trade Nico Horner before opening day, but like I don't feel strongly enough about that to take Matt Shaw at like 220 in January, but like I think the closer we get to opening day, I think his price will keep going down because it's just another day where he's still blocked. So I don't know. I feel like if I don't know, but then the closer you get, then the less likely Horner is to get traded. So
yeah, but I think it's a lot of times it's one of those things. It happens with pitcher injuries, where it'll look like a pitcher is hurt. He'll fall 4 rounds, and then 2 weeks later he's healthy and he'll go up 2 rounds. He never quite goes back to where he was before. So if Horner gets traded, I'm not convinced that Shaw fully goes back up to where he was before. So if you like him, for me, I kind of wait, and then if something happens, then I think it's still a buy low opportunity.
Sure,
I could see him going up to 190, 200 if a trade happens. Not sure he goes back up to the 160 where it was before. I mean, maybe it's different with hitters, but I've seen it so often with pitchers. Situations like that where kind of the market just doesn't adjust quite as much.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. What do you think happens in Houston? Like, do you think they just go into the season with like not a spot open for Isaac Paredes?
Usually things just kind of work themselves out. Like, they said he's healthy, but is he really healthy? Like, do they? I don't see them trading away anyone. Maybe Christian Walker's his name's been kind of out there, but
I'm sure they tested the waters on Christian Walker.
Yeah, but like with like none of those guys really have huge value on the market. And if you're the Astros, do you really want to go into the year with Alvarez and Paredes kind of locked into your starting lineup? Like, what are the odds that both of them are healthy in May? Like, I think having that isn't a bad problem. Maybe something happens in March if everyone looks good and they feel more confident about who they have, but it just not sold on it. And I think there's enough old players there that you can kind of make like a 6 guys for 5 spots rotation kind of work for a couple months until someone gets hurt.
Yeah, no. I think the market is forcing them into that position. I think they would have liked to have traded somebody, but all right. Last question, Phil. Do you have any 2026 prospect crushes from all of the draft champions you've been undertaking? And I'm sure you won't hold anything back from our listeners with this question.
I'll give you one guy, and when you ask me for a prospect, I don't go prospect, I go random guy.
That's a Phil prospect.
Yeah,
I'm sure whoever you're going to say isn't even on my top 400.
This guy's 28 years old. Brian Torres.
Cardinals, right?
So, yeah. See, it's amazing that you had to kind of question the team, just because he's so random.
Cardinals guy, right?
Yeah. So, think there's a path of playing time there because the Cardinals are kind of listing on everyone. They want to give, I want to say young guys, but in this case, it's more guys that haven't played in the majors yet an opportunity. He crushed AA 2 years ago. Again in AAA last year. His walk rate was higher than his K rate. And yes, you can say it's kind of normal for a 26 or 27-year-old to be good in AA and AAA. But having a walk rate higher than a K rate isn't what everyone does in AAA. I think that kind of shows the bad skills that translate pretty well to the majors. He's good defensively. He's got good speed. The power is 0. He had 9 home runs last year after having like 2 the year before, and then pretty much none before he went to indie ball when it was younger than that. So think there's just something interesting, and like don't like I think last year on this pod I mentioned Peyton Eels, and then people started drafting around 35, around 40. Like that's not I've been drafting Torres in like around 47, around 50 in my earlier ones. I think it's mainly the speed that I'm looking for with a guy that late, where if he somehow happens to play every day, even if it's just for like 2 weeks, just the speed makes him pretty much instantly valuable fantasy wise, even if the rest of the numbers aren't great. So that's the kind of guy I'm looking for later, where because most guys are going in that range if they happen to play like, I don't know, 12 games in 2 weeks, they're not going to be in your lineup. Whereas a speed guy, he could be. So that's kind of how I ended up on him. Steamer actually projects him for a 101 WRC plus. Zips a 108. Even the bat has him for 77, which is pretty good for the bat, I think. Oopsie for 93. Like the projections seem to think he's potentially a major league level bat who can play defense and has speed. So I'm interested in round 45, 50, but again, it's a long shot. It's what you wanted.